So let's take a look at some of the Bible stories. We can take a look at the creation story of Adam and Eve, right? We have the order of events in creation are different in two different parts of the Bible, right? In two different parts of the Genesis.
Chapter 1 and chapter 2.
Right, chapter 1 and chapter 2, right? So there's a problem. The stories aren't even consistent, right? So how can you have a consistent reality with two different versions? That makes no sense.
There's actually an almost reasonable apologist answer to that. And it goes like this.
Okay.
Chapter 1 and chapter 2 obviously contradict each other.
Okay.
But nobody in their right mind could have ever written two short chapters back to back, which obviously contradicted each other. So in reality, you have one creation story that's kind of tells in a vague way, and another one that narrows things down on a more specific, that focuses on the human element. My thing is that regardless of whether or not you accept it as a contradiction, it's something which is potentially confusing, definitely ambiguous, not something you would expect from an omniscient, infinitely wise deity. And oh, by the way, the story itself is patently absurd.
Yep.
But
yep.
I can find a lot better objections to Adam and Eve than the fact that there are two creation stories.
Oh, there's a lot more. In fact, I wanted to focus on the belly buttons today. I wanted to mention that very briefly. There's actually quite a bit of debate about whether Adam and Eve had belly buttons. Okay, and this is something you can try at home. You can lift up your shirt and see if you have a belly button. If you have a belly button, you weren't created. You were born.
See, I'm of the opinion that Adam and Eve did not have belly buttons, because I'm of the opinion that they didn't exist.
Right. Right. So right. If it's a story, it doesn't matter, right? But a lot of people believe this story. A lot of people believe that this is reality, right? And so there's a question of, did God create Adam and Eve from whole cloth, from the dirt and magic, as the story goes, right? Or were they born somehow? So if they have a belly button, it begs the question of, did they have dirt umbilical cords? So when you start to poke on this, it starts to fall apart. It starts to not make sense, right? So, and there's a big theological debate about Adam's belly button, okay, which I find very amusing.
Once upon a time, and I guarantee you, there are still fundamentalist evangelical Christians in America who still believe this to this day. I heard this when I was a kid. I bought into it, and I don't know how many other people have believed this, that men have one less rib than women do. Now, this is so easy to check, because all you have to do is run your thumbs down and count, or maybe, I don't know, crack open a medical encyclopedia or anything. It's completely obvious and easy and quick for any individual to debunk. Any man and a woman could sit next to each other and count the ribs and find out this story is complete and utter crap, and yet it just fit in the mind. Hey, the Bible said that God removed one of Adam's ribs, and my pastor told me that from that point on, men had one less rib than women, so I believe it. When you actually could count your own ribs, how stupid is that? Right. And I bought into it, so did so many other people, and I guarantee you, you probably know somebody who, if you asked them about it or told them this story, they'd say, oh yeah, men have one less rib than women. That's how common it is. It's an unbelievably stupid urban legend, and people buy it.
Right.
I did. But keep going.
Okay. And of course, the age of the earth. If you go through the creation story and add up all the ages of everybody, the age of the earth is supposed to be 6,000 to 10,000 years. It was a Tuesday. They even know what day of the week it was.
It's in October. It's this month.
Is it?
It's in October,
Okay.
according to the calculations. In Dawkins' new book, one of the things he mentioned was that he finds it absolutely ridiculous that there are people running around who believe that the earth, that the entire universe was created after the domestication of dogs. Because we know that dog domestication occurred, 25,000 years ago or whatever. I don't have the exact number, but it's more than 10,000. And he thought it was absurd that people believe the universe could be younger than the domestication of dogs.
Okay. Here's another bit of nonsense in the Bible. Unicorns. Unicorns are mentioned quite a number of times in the King James Version of the Bible. And this, sort of begs the question of why are there so many versions of the Bible, and why do they disagree on so many different things? And this is one very silly thing they disagree on. One of the quotes, let's see here, Numbers 23:22. says that God has the strength of a unicorn. So you have to prop up your God by saying, oh, he's just as strong as this unicorn, which doesn't exist. And you can go through a lot of word analysis and stuff and wonder what the hell they're talking about with this single horn thing, whatever that might be. Some theories have it being a rhinoceros. So
I have a copy of the NIV here, which is the apologist's favorite Bible, because they've gone in and a lot of the things that people would find objectionable or really stupid about the King James Version, that 1611 authorized version, the new NIV goes through and changes. This particular verse, Numbers 23:22, it says, God brought them out of Egypt. They have the strength of a wild ox.
yeah.
But if you look down at the notes, because the NIV is annotated really well, it says, wild ox or aurochs, a traditional image of power in the ancient Near East, or possibly oryx, a large straight-horned antelope.
Okay.
No, the Bible doesn't mention unicorns. It just mentions long, straight-horned antelopes.
That's kind of amusing.
I mean, Moses goes up on the mountain, supposedly gets the first copy inscribed, which takes God a while, like 40 days. And meanwhile, everybody else down below, these people who have witnessed God's power firsthand, according to the Bible. They were there when he parted the Red Sea. He led them through as a pillar of fire by day, or by night, and a pillar of cloud by day, and fed them and everything else. I mean, these people absolutely witnessed that there was a God and was power. And Moses goes away for a couple of days at the top of a mountain, and they say, screw that God. Let's make a calf. Let's make a whole new one. That God's not that much fun anymore. We'll just invent a new God.
High comedy, right?
It was in their mindset that they could just invent a brand new God.
Right, and that God was terrified of it. He was terrified of molten gods.
Oh, and as soon as they did it, of course, God sent Moses down, and he got so mad that he broke those commandments.
Right.
And Moses
they
had to
turned
get
to
a
dust
new
and
set,
disappeared. Right.
which were different from the first set. How does that happen?
Right.
If these are the most important moral codes of this supreme omniscient being, and he needs us all to learn these because they're that important, you'd think maybe he'd remember what he wrote the first time.
Right, right. Well, my reading of Exodus is Moses is going up and down the mountain, and God is just rambling the whole time. Yeah. And even no matter where Moses is, God is rambling these commandments, right? So there's so many of them. Anyway, it's just kind of a Three Stooges sort of thing, going up and down. And
it's also amusing that depending on which version of the Bible and which religion you belong to, you may have a different set of 10 Commandments. There's a Jewish version, a Protestant version, and a Catholic version. Even
right.
Supreme Court Justice Scalia didn't know that. He was just surprised when these 10 Commandments showed up, these cases, and they were talking about different versions. Well, different versions? How could that be?
Right.